So Working Group 3 is about mitigation of climate change, how you reduce emissions. It's trying to find out, what the level of emissions are, what the potential technology pathways might be to reduce them, what policies could be useful, how much it would cost, how you finance it. And I am just going to be giving a couple of slides from the Working Group 3 summary of policymakers, and then I'm going to give a couple of slides to try and bring that back to UK energy policy and see whether or not UK energy policy is anywhere near the science of Working Group 3. And if I can work this, yes. So the emissions, the big point here is that greenhouse gas emissions are still rising. This is from 1970 to 2010. We in the world have pretty much had policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from about 1990. A few countries had a few policies before that, but it's really been since 1990. But since 1990, we really have been trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we have not succeeded at all. The rate at which emissions are increasing is rising. So from 1970 to 2000, it was 1.3%, and then since 2000, it's gone up to 2.2%. So, emissions are rising. Most of the increase is in fossil fuels. And that's mainly to do with energy, and I'm going to concentrate on energy. I think one other interesting thing here is that so you can see this blip that goes down. That was the recession, but actually the recession didn't really do anything for the underlying structure. So I'm just going to look at decarbonising energy use. The most important thing really that we can do within energy is to not use it, just reduce it, make it more efficient. I'm not going to be talking about that. I'm just going to be looking at supplying low carbon energy. So this is also from the SBM of Working Group 3, and I don't really want to go into this in much detail. I'm just going to be looking at the light blue panel nearest to me. This is saying if we are to meet the 2 degrees temperature change at 2100, that we have to increase our low carbon sources of energy to supply about 25% globally in 2030, about 60% globally in 2050, and around 90% in 2100. And this is, when I say low carbon sources of energy, I'm meaning electricity, petrol, and heat. So it's not just electricity, it's the total amount of energy we use. Now, how are we doing in the UK then? Bearing in mind that this is roughly what is going to have to happen globally. Well, in the UK, we have a target to reduce carbon by 80% by 2050. And the blue line is what we've done. And we have something called carbon budgets, which is set about what it is that we should do. And we should be going from about what was about 680 or something in 2000 down to 160 in 2050. That 160 in 2050 is very contentious. Many people would say that it should be a lot lower than that. I think we're going to meet the first or second carbon budgets, but that last big step down we're unlikely to meet, and we're not on target to meet the 2050 target. So this is my last slide here. So this is energy supplied in Britain. Bearing in mind that the Working Group 3 says that we should be supplying about 25% of energy from low carbon sources in 2030, so in about 15 years' time. And if we're being equitable about it, we should probably be supplying a lot more than that because we're the historical emitters. So we started to have a renewable policy in 1990. If you look in the 1990 column, furthest away from me, at the top there, the purple is nuclear, which counts as low carbon. And then the little bit above that is hydro. So that was about 8% in 1990. And we have had policies the whole way through till 2020, and we're now about 12%. And one of those percents is through an interconnector from France. So in all of that time, we've managed to increase to about 4% of our energy, and we've been trying hard to do that. So I think that you can see that we are in a major problem. Now, this is my personal view. What does the IPCC and the SBM say to me? Well, what it says to me is we really, really need to up our game in terms of increasing the efficiency of energy that we use. So we use a lot less of it, and then what we use is efficient. And we really have to start making sure that we get more low carbon energy supply. It would be great if the government was going to do that. I have very little faith really in any of our governments at the moment to do that. And I think therefore it really is about businesses and NGOs and consultancies, and Stephen Frankel from REN is here, society to really start to do these things. I think it's also about having a huge amount of public engagement, and today is a really a good thing. I think very few people understand what it is to live in a 3-degree, 4-degree, 5-degree world, and that needs to change. Overall, the thing that I want to kind of get across is that I feel, as somebody who's been working in energy policy now for about 30 years, trying my best to try to move things on as quickly as possible, that we really need a completely new way of thinking about this problem to make sure that we do stay within that 2 degrees lowest target. Thank you very much.